the reasons he gave this executive order? Yes, he wants the American economy to collapse. Okay, all jokes aside, we'll get to that in a second. Don't worry. And by a second, I mean right now. Trump has announced new tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
In Virginia, pretty much split Republican-Democrat. A purple town, they call it, in a red state.
You want to know why he's doing this? Because he's secretly in the pocket of Xi. That's why. He wants Xi.
Chris voted Donald Trump, and contrary to most economists, he thinks that tariffs will mean more money in his pocket.
And if we're making more money on tariffs, that means our taxes, American citizens can pay less taxes.
Will it affect your business?
No, it'll help. It'll help a lot.
How will it help?
I think cost of goods will go down.
Being a Republican is just living in opposite reality. Okay, that's it. That's it. There's like no other way to analyze, interpret what's going on. Okay. Nah, you don't understand. This thing that is literally a regressive universal sales tax, because the middle, like the import exporters that are the mediators, are going to be paying for the cost of the good at the point of arrival, are going to carry over that cost to the consumers. That is actually going to cut prices somehow. 83% of Trump supporters support the tariffs. What? 83%? Oh, dude, America needs to be studied like a fucking lab rat. Okay? America and the American mind, especially the conservative mind, okay, needs to be dissected and examined thoroughly. The amount of worms we would uncover in the brains of the average conservative. Like, this is the exact opposite. What are you saying? What you are describing is the exact opposite of reality. Why? Why are you saying the exact opposite of reality? What is going on? I don't understand it. Who is telling them that this is the good thing? Okay? Who is telling them, like, I can't believe I'm the guy, okay, sitting here and saying that isolationist trade policies, if not directed towards a competent, competitive domestic manufacturing, is going to simply lead to prices increasing. It's going to lead to prices increasing regardless, but it's also going to lead to prices increasing a lot if there's no domestic manufacturing capabilities for the same exact things, right? Raw materials, for example, do not often have a competitive domestic manufacturing or even sometimes the raw materials necessary. Like if you're looking for, I don't know, trees, for example, wood, okay? We get it from Canada, okay? We get it from Canada. Now, do we have an abundance of wood in this country? Yes, we have a ton of forests. We have not destroyed some of our forests because we're just getting it from Canada, okay? Now, we could destroy our forests and not get it from Canada, okay? We could do that. We could like gut our national parks or whatever, right? There's plenty of trees there. But even that would take time. So in this process, in the interim period, as we move to destroy our own natural resources, okay, one, Canada will obviously strike back and add tariffs to our goods that they are purchasing, okay? And also, simultaneously, in the interim period, as like the American wood industry is building up for this to compete with the raw output of the Canadian lumber industry, there would still be a ginormous increase of cost of wood. I don't know if you know this, chat, but wood is very important for building houses, especially after a massive wildfire that destroyed tens of thousands of standing structures, residential homes and businesses alike, which means there will be additional demand for wood. So slapping 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods right after a wildfire happens is choice. It's an interesting choice. What is this world of statistics? In the United States, 54% of adults have illiteracy below a 6th grade level, 20% are below 5th grade level, and 21% are illiterate. What? That is not good, dude. Holy shit. We're going to reach a new record, baby. This is where they get their news. Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, I saw this. Newsmax host taunts people complaining about migrant deportations of Latinos by eating a taco on air.
Will you come take it out of my ham? I'm going to eat half this plate during the break. Maybe I'll call the ICE hotline. I don't know if I'll have enough time. Sure. All kidding aside, it was actually really good taco. These people broke the law. They broke the law to get here.
I can't say what I think should happen to this person because I would get banned and it would make some of my most vocal haters very elated, very excited. Okay? But you can't stop me from thinking it, at least until the Neuralink chips kick in. You know what I mean? And then you're immediately prosecuted for thought crimes. You know? I can't say it out loud, but I can think it. And you can't stop me from thinking it. Wow. Just ruthlessness, pure cruelty, no politics, just politics of spite, anger, resentment, hatred. Awesome. Great stuff. Trump supporting companies will likely be granted exemptions from these new tariffs like in his previous term. That's what I said as well. Okay. That's what I suspected as well when he talked about tariffs, because he had done this in the past. That he's going to use tariffs and who gets hit with the tariffs, not like everyone that is purchasing goods from Canada and China, but instead the companies that are aligned with Trump will get exemptions. I don't know if it'll happen this time around. The second reason for the tariffs, I think, is because he wants to destroy income tax. I think he wants to just abolish income tax and make it so, because income tax is one of the few progressive taxation methods we have at our disposal. And even then, there are so many mechanisms for the wealthy to avoid paying a fairer share of their taxes. That's why the effective tax rate for the average American is around like 40%. Whereas for the super wealthy, the 1%, it's 0.01%, right? That is a massive, massive disparity. That is in spite of the progressive taxation structure we have for income tax. Now, Donald Trump is openly, I think, trying to change the structure away from income tax in its entirety and only make Americans pay with tariffs. I think that's what's going on. I think the goal here is to reshape our taxation structure to move away from the last progressive taxation structure and eradicate it in its entirety and move directly to tariffs, which would work as a regressive tax, like sales tax. Sales tax is a regressive tax. Okay? The way tariffs work in this process would operate like a federal sales tax. Okay? To promote freedom, fairness, and economic opportunity by repealing the income tax and other taxes, abolishing the Internal Revenue Service. Okay, come on. And enacting a national sales tax to be administered primarily by states. Yeah, come on, dude. Come on, chatter. I mean, this is people try to push insane bills all the time. This is one of them. You can call it a patriot tax or call it whatever they want to call it. But I'll just say it like this. Considering that this is the initial reaction to the tariffs, I suspect that a lot of people won't recognize when they're paying significantly higher prices. I don't think they'll recognize where it's coming from or why they're paying higher prices. They'll probably still find a way to blame black people or something. They'll say, oh, it's DEI. Where is the guy? I just caught someone saying something insane. Oh, Patriot HVAC Services. Sometimes you got to crack a few omelets to make a tariff. I'm fine paying a little more as long as the bad people being deported. This is a meme account. This person is not being serious. Okay? Make no mistake. Do not be duped. His name is literally Patriot HVAC Services. Okay? All right, I got to pee.
Yeah, I think eggs will be cheaper. Right now they're too much. They're like $1 million.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
I think a lot of people are still in the dark about what exactly tariffs mean and what it's going to mean for the bottom line. They assume that it's going to affect the countries that are importing to us without realizing that, you know, companies have to pass that along. There's just no other way to do it.
Yeah, and it's the importing company that has to do something with the price, pass on the price.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely going to trickle down and not in the way that not in a good way.
Further down the road in Culpeper, a Trump supporter with views that bit more militant about the US's largest trading partners.
We're shelling out for them to do nothing. Now it's going to be like either equal or let's catch up for all the the cheating that's been done on us.
If inflation dominated people's economic concerns around the US election, it focused on two issues: the price of eggs and the price of fuel. For all its massive oil reserves, the United States still imports a lot of crude oil, and most of that comes from Canada. That's why President Trump says he'll only impose a 10% tariff on Canadian crude oil, not 25%. But even so, it will likely translate into higher prices at the pump. Sonia Chavez from El Salvador says that most of what she needs in her bakery comes from California. But she thinks that tariffs will mean price hikes across the board, and so she'll have to follow suit. I think it's going to be difficult, she says, because at the end of the day, it's the consumer who will pay. If America's trading partners are confused about what tariffs the US president means to impose and when, then the American people are too. Unsure either what tariffs mean or how they'll affect them. Diana Magnay, Sky News in Culpeper, Virginia.
Well, in the last few moments, we have been getting more detail about those tariffs. A White House official has said President Trump has signed 3 separate executive orders enacting tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China, one for each country. 25% tariff on Mexican imports, a 25% tariff on Canadian imports, excluding energy products. We know that the US gets a huge amount of oil from Canada. A tariff on energy products is 10%. There'll be a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. Now, interestingly, there's going to be a retaliation clause, as it's called. To quote, there is a retaliation clause so that if any country chooses to retaliate in any way, the signal will be to take further action with respect to likely increased tariffs. So we are getting more detail all the time about what President Trump has in mind when it comes to tariffs on those 3 countries. Keeping across that, of course, throughout the evening here on Sky News. Well,
The White House says 25% tariffs are going into effect today on goods coming into the U.S. from 2 of the country's biggest trading partners, also the closest, Mexico and Canada. So what impact will President Trump's move have on American consumers, your wallet, where? ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins us from Washington with those details. Good morning to you, Selena.
Hey, good morning, Janae. Yeah, this could have a huge impact on American consumers. But remember that President Trump had campaigned on lowering costs for Americans, but these tariffs could have the opposite effect. It could increase prices on everything from avocados to tequila, cars, electronics, clothes, and more. This morning, President Trump is gearing up to impose steep tariffs today on America's biggest trading partners, a move that could raise prices at the grocery store and the gas pump.
There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
Trump campaigned on lowering prices for Americans, but admits now that his tariffs could cause disruptions. The president hitting Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs and 10% tariffs on China, blaming those countries for illegal migrants and drugs coming into the U.S. and for America's trade deficit with these trading partners.
They've treated us very unfairly.
Experts say American families could pay $830 more on average this year because of those tariffs, with higher prices for fresh produce, alcohol, clothes, electronics, cars, and more. And those tariffs on oil and gas could hike prices at the pump by as much as 70 cents per gallon. I pressed the White House on those higher prices.
Can you guarantee that those tariffs won't increase prices for Americans, including at the gas pump and the grocery store?
I think Americans who are concerned about increased prices should look at what President Trump did in his first term.
Studies have repeatedly shown that Trump's first-term tariffs hit American companies and consumers the hardest. And Trump's move threatening to spark a trade war. Canada's prime minister says they're ready to hit back.
If tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table.
So tariffs are taxes on goods that U.S. companies and importers pay, and then they largely pass on those higher costs to U.S. consumers. And Janae, some companies are also warning that this could put millions of jobs at risk here in America.
The impacts remain to be seen. Those impacts remain to be seen, Selena. And we're also learning new information about President Trump's plans to fire FBI agents. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Janae, so sources are telling us that the Trump administration is compiling a list of FBI agents to fire or force out. We're told that the administration is specifically looking into people who worked on investigations.
JD Pondon. He said the FBI will pay for its crimes against revolutionary black leaders in this country. Oh, the Chamber of Commerce is not happy? Wow, I'm shocked. Statement from the U.S. Chamber. Tariffs are not the answer. Washington, D.C., U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Senior Vice President and Head of International John Murphy released the following statement regarding President Trump's announcement that the administration will implement 25% tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and 10% tariffs on China. The president is right to focus on major problems like our broken border and the scourge of fentanyl, but the imposition of tariffs under the IEEPA is unprecedented and won't solve these problems. It will only raise prices for American families and upend supply chains. The chamber will consult with our members, including Main Street businesses across the country impacted by this move, to determine the next steps to prevent economic harm to Americans. We will continue to work with Congress and the administration on solutions to address the fentanyl and border crisis. Yeah, not happy is right. Wasn't Carl Icahn, who was totally on board with Donald Trump, like the thing that separated him from Trump was when he put tariffs on steel. He was like, you can't do that. You know, all of these like squishy libs or people who present themselves as liberals when they're like, you know, obviously right-wing billionaires in general, have no issues with like all of the death and devastation that Trump will cause upon marginalized populations. But the moment that their bottom line is impacted, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not like that. It's not like that. What's happening? I don't understand why he does this. Can you explain it to me? I'm dumb, lol. I think that there are two reasons why Donald Trump wants to do this. One, because Donald Trump wants to utilize the tariffs as a mechanism of pressure for sectors and industry leaders to basically kiss the ring. You kiss the ring, you don't get hit with tariffs. Because remember, for those of you who still don't understand this, because I've talked about it a million times over, tariffs don't actually work in the way that Trump claims it does, right? Tariffs don't actually work in the way that, maybe to your surprise, the Republican Party has claimed it works. You're not actually putting a tariff on the country, right? You're not putting a tariff on like China, and China is paying for the price of said tariff. The tariff is an entry fee, okay? A tariff is an entry fee. So it's not actually the Chinese companies that are paying for the tariff. It's actually the American companies that are tasked with importing the goods that are paying the tariff at the point of entry. That's it. So it's actually American manufacturers that will now get a more costly good overall. Because if, let's say, you're getting your t-shirts shipped from China, right? Your garments, you're a garment producer, or the raw materials necessary to produce garments in the United States of America. Let's say you're getting that from China, right? Now there's a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods, okay? Which means you have to pay a 10% entry fee on everything that you purchase, which means automatically the garment manufacturing goods are now 10% more expensive. So when your garment, when you're selling your wares to a factory that is tasked with making t-shirts, at the point of purchase, that second company is basically buying a 10% more expensive product. If a bulk purchase of t-shirts was $100, now it's going to be $110, right? And when that happens, and that t-shirt manufacturer takes $110 worth of t-shirts now that previously was $100, they are going to increase the price of all of the t-shirts that they're making so that they can carry the cost over to the consumer, right? So now the product, like the cost of the good necessary to make this product is increased. The cost of the product is increased overall. And every step of the way, from the point of the merchandise, the point of the goods entering the United States, all the way to the point of the consumer purchasing it at a store, the cost of that t-shirt increases every step along the way. Okay? And you, as a consumer, end up paying the price. The money made by the tariffs, the additional money, goes to the federal government. Now they have extra money that they can work with. Okay? And you, the consumer, are technically subsidizing that money. This is the reason why tariffs can be seen as a federal sales tax. Okay? Now, what's, I guess, somewhat interesting about this process is that there's also almost always retaliatory tariffs from the other country, which, and for the record, when tariffs do happen, okay, if there is no competitive domestic manufacturing, of course, trade of that sort of commodity, or all commodities, if all commodities are tariffed, will actually decrease because people will seek out cheaper alternatives. So they will move in the direction of, like, Vietnam, for example, or another manufacturing hub that isn't China, that will still make the same or similar products without the additional cost associated with it. Now, of course, changing your manufacturing to a different country is an arduous and relatively costly process. So that in and of itself will also yield more expensive goods at the point of purchase. So there's also that issue in the interim. And the retaliatory tariffs, on the other hand, will also yield the same exact results. China will engage in retaliatory tariffs like they did with soybean, right? That's what they did when Donald Trump, in his first administration, engaged in tariffs on steel from China. And China said, okay, we're putting a tariff on soybeans. This ends up harming the American manufacturers because now the Chinese government is looking for alternatives to purchase soybeans from. They're not going to get it from America. They're going to get it from elsewhere. And at the end of that process, it ends up harming the American manufacturers. Okay? Nah, companies are getting faster and cheaper at changing countries. The shell game continues, but yeah, it's just a Band-Aid. Yeah, but still. And I say this, I criticize all of this for the record, while also maintaining the position that tariffs on particular goods is not necessarily a bad thing. While on the one hand, I want a BYD car, I wish that American manufacturing was interested in making competitive electric vehicles. So while we do actually maintain some understandable trade isolationist policies when it comes to car manufacturing, for example, in an effort to preserve and protect our manufacturing sector and automobile manufacturing, the American manufacturers are also not using this as an opportunity to create better products overall, but instead products that hyper-focus on avoiding CAFE standards and building larger and larger tank-like structures in a country where the Ford F-150 is the most popular vehicle. I considered that to be an annoying nuisance while still maintaining the position that I understand why there is a necessity for some tariffs on some goods. Why? Because the automobile industry in the United States of America is a competent and competitive manufacturing force that already exists. Now it's in a state of disrepair. It's been crippled. It's, for profit seeking has truly eviscerated this sector as well, just like every other sector. But it still exists. And there are thousands of American laborers, union laborers, good union jobs that are readily available at the assembly line. Ironically enough, tariffs even impact those guys, at least these tariffs that we're talking about. You might say, Hasan, why? They're making the cars in America. That's a F-150, baby. Arctic Monkeys intensifies, right? Here, I'll play it real quick. Actually, I kind of want to hear it. Why is my freaking internet so slow? Yeah. What are you talking about, Hank? An American-made Ford F-150 is made in the United States of America. Touched by American hands. No goddamn common Chinese touches these beautiful truck nuts that I put on the back of my Ford F-150. Designed for perfection. Designed to make me forget about family court and how Deborah left me. That's what the Ford F-150 is made to do. So that when I drive down to Harbor Freight to purchase my non-Chinese made tools that I'll be using on my shed, my fuck shed, that I'm building right now to forget about Deborah, I feel like a real man as I drive over a bunch of children over the crossroad, walking to school, because I can't see them in my field of vision, because I purchased a Ford F-150 that, in order to avoid cafe regulations, is increasingly grown larger and larger year over year. Do I need this much truck? Of course not. I've never. But having said that, I still need that much truck. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, if you can't see the children, it doesn't count. So, how do tariffs actually impact American manufacturing, even the auto industry? Great question. Great question, Hasan. Let me answer, Hasan. A lot of the cars and their parts that are being manufactured or at least being assembled on assembly plants in the United States of America are actually being manufactured in Canada and, more importantly than Canada, Mexico. So when these tariffs are placed upon Mexico and Canada, as Trump has claimed he's going to do, as he's signed into law as of today, what ends up happening is the engines that are being made in Mexico are going to be more costly. The parts within the manufacturing are going to be costly, which will then increase the cost of goods that are being domestically produced because they're being domestically assembled, but they're still being produced, or at least parts of them are still being produced globally. This is the reality of global trade. Okay? This is something that is impossible to avoid. We have designed society in a way where we're maxing out, I guess not necessarily efficiency, but we've designed society in a way where we max out profits. And therefore, goods that even are assembled or manufactured in the United States of America will end up seeing massive cost increases and supply shortages, especially in the interim period. Because a lot of these cars are still very much having their parts manufactured in Mexico. So even if you need a part to fix your car, it's going to be more costly for you. Something to remember. Something to consider. The more you know with Hasanabi Piker. Yeah, the auto supply chain between Canada and the U.S. are extremely integrated. There's some stat that says parts cross the border 8 times prior to final manufacturing. The tariffs are horrible for everyone but the oligarchs. So how is it that BYD cars are able to be so cheap if not employing slave labor practices? BYD score at the bottom of Amnesty Human Rights scores, though. They are cool, but how do they keep them so cheap? Do you think it's because they're employing slave labor? Or do you think it's because it's insanely subsidized by the fucking Chinese government, which understandably sees more value in virtually gutting any kind of competitive European car manufacturing business? Unsure, wondering what your opinion is? No, it's the subsidies. Yes, workplace conditions are worse in China. That much is 100% a certainty. It's not like the nets and slave labor that people, understandably used to point to. Okay, it's not like China is utopian with labor rights for sure. Okay, this is currently not the case. Having said that, however, a big part of the reason why it's cheap is, aside from the cost of living being cheap and therefore wages being cheaper, a big part of the reason why the Chinese manufacturing is insanely cheap, okay, is because they heavily subsidize it, because the Chinese government understands that creating good, competitive products that people want yields two tremendous results. One, improves your soft power capabilities, improves your overall outlook around the globe. Think about the love and admiration I have as a Turkish man to the wonderful car manufacturers of Toyota. That's important. That's very important. I love Toyotas. Okay? I love that shit. I love Toyotas. They're incredibly affordable. They're incredibly reliable. They will, even fun fact, I bought my brother a Toyota RAV4 recently. A plug-in hybrid Toyota RAV4. We are a Toyota family. Yeah. I bought it for him because, he's getting married, he's going to have kids, and I wanted him to have a affordable, reliable vehicle. Do you think they're as reliable as our boy who did your brow? Okay, listen, that's just different shit. Don't focus on that. What's the road noise on the RAV4? I was thinking of getting one. I mean, it's a plug-in hybrid, so I don't think it's very loud. But that shit goes, it is crazy. It goes forever, dude. 90 miles per gallon is insane, brother. It's not 90, I don't think. Cheap? Could have bought something nicer? Come on. Wait, what? What do you want me to buy him? A fucking Lambo? What do you mean? I wanted him to have an incredibly nice car that is reliable and also has good gas mileage. I could have bought him a fucking expensive car. The issue is expensive cars have worse gas mileage. He also couldn't get an all-electric vehicle, one, because of obviously distance concerns, but also beyond that, he doesn't have, expensive cars are expensive across the board. It's obviously not an issue for myself, considering, my financial circumstances, but that would be an issue down the line for my brother, considering his financial circumstances. Also, it's still it's not a cheap car. What the fuck? I personally would have gotten my brother a Bugatti, but that's just me. He already is a car guy. He already has a Porsche.
Yeah, the middle.
As you guys know, he has the Cayenne. He got like a 2001 Cayenne and he souped it up like insanely. But he's beating it to the fucking ground. I mean, the Cayenne he got, by the way, he has a Porsche that he bought for like $4,000, by the way. It's not, or something insane. I think he was like $4,000 or $5,000. So it's not like he didn't really splurge. Okay. The problem is he also uses that shit, and his fiance's car is a busted ass Kia that is unreliable at this point and has no assurances on whether it works or not. So I got him a fucking new Toyota RAV4 because I wanted his other car to not be his other car to be like a real family car. And before you say, oh, well, the Cayenne parts are expensive, it's not expensive for him because this dude will literally design the parts himself. He has all the tools in my goddamn garage. You know this already. You know this because you hear it. You hear it in the background of my stream whenever he chooses to use the power tools. So he'll go and he'll get like cheap metal. He'll drive 30, 40, 50 miles out of the city to purchase metal that is like 10 cents cheaper. And I'm like, dude, you literally spent more money on gas in this process. When you say Cayenne, I assume you mean Cayman, the little roadster. No, he has a Porsche Cayenne that he off-roads with. He also got the chassis of a a Cayenne, 2001 chatters. He also got a chassis of a Cayenne, cut it, and built a trailer from scratch that he also takes out when he's going off-roading and shit. It's crazy. He's my goat. Hamas is laying siege on Turkey. Take a look. This is insane. I love this so much. Sabra Humis. Hamas is laying siege on Turkey? Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, I don't think Hamas is laying siege on Turkey, but let's watch American Hostage and 2 others released. And then after that, side note, new DNC chair famously said Hasan Piker is right while ignoring everything you said on CNN. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having me on tonight. And actually, I think Hasan's right in most of what he says there. And particularly...
Yeah. This is the new DNC chair chat. That's why it's so funny when people are like, well, why is nobody paying attention to this drama YouTube that is just like 10-second clips clipped out of context? You got the fucking new DNC chair on the Aaron Burnett show being like, Hasan Piker is right. I agree with him. Although I have a lot of criticisms of him, and I will get to it in a little bit. Now, the reason why I mention this is because I need you to understand I'm charitable to you if you have been duped. Okay? I'm charitable to you if you've been duped into believing that I'm some like evil fucking deity, some evil being. And when that expectation doesn't match reality, especially from mainstream resources, I hope you are not confused because you've simply been bamboozled, taken for a sucker by people with other ambitions, other motivations, oftentimes simply to, you know, get clout or get an algorithmic boost by hitting the fuck Hasan button. He also does end up disregarding the major points that I made in this clip, but that's besides the point. You know, I quite literally say, hey, I don't think you can podcast your way out of the problems that the Democratic Party is facing. And this is simply a problem that is born out of the Democratic Party's refusal to address the material realities that workers in the United States of America are facing. So comments here are the perfect encapsulation of hater brigades. Whenever a normal person warms up to you, yeah, I saw this. There are like a ton of comments being like, people hate Hasan for legitimate reasons. He's an idiot and at best a stochastic terrorist and at worst. He supports some of the worst regimes on this planet. He also loves terrorists. I thought he was terrible because I watched Destiny since 2019 and he so thoroughly poisoned the Hasan well with his fan base that you just don't really question it. But these guys also love, like, Destiny's fan base also loves CNN and like, you know, prominent liberals and stuff. So I just don't understand how that's not like shocking enough to them to reconsider their positions that maybe their favorite content creator who's like famous for debating the ethics of child porn or white people's rights in saying the N-word is probably not the political beacon that they consider to be, you know, the most thoughtful, the most mindful. Will you watch Canada's tariffs, response to the tariffs in an hour and a half? Yes, after I'm done with GeoGuessr, which is going to happen at the plan. The plan of attack today is I'm going to first watch Charlie Kirk talk about how tariffs are good, and then I'm going to continue covering the news, and then afterwards at 10, okay. At 10 a.m. in approximately an hour, I'm going to do a sponsored GeoGuessr stream. Okay, I will be playing GeoGuessr alongside a bunch of other content creators and a professional GeoGuessr pro. Okay, and after that, and that's for 2 hours. After that, GeoGuessr is also the perfect game to play, especially in this community because y'all are, you know, incredible nerds. But also on top of that. You know, it's a map game. It's a nerd game. GeoGuessr is people don't know what GeoGuessr is in this community. That's crazy. GeoGuessr is like a Google Maps game basically, where they show you like one area on a map, and you're supposed to click on the entire global map and try to figure out exactly where it is by looking at some clues. Are you feeling sad about the drama? Are you chilling? No, I'm chilling. I don't really give a shit. It's nothing new. the game is being bad at geography. I'm very bad at geography, famously. But it's not even necessarily that I'm bad at geography, even though I am bad at geography. I'm also very bad at test taking. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But I think it'll be funny. And then after the GeoGuessr game, we will watch the content nuke on Destiny by Ryan Beard, which details, I assume, some of the severe pain and harm that Sexpestiny has caused to many communities, both online and offline in the real world. And I say scratches the surface because it's an hour and 30 minutes. And the reality of the matter is, unlike the way his community has crafted elaborate narratives about how awful I am due to things that you would never even bat an eye at, like purchasing a house for myself and my family, or leasing a Porsche, that many content creators have done time and time again, claiming that this is somehow at odds with the way I view the world because they have decided what my moral system looks like instead of hearing what my attitude is about these sorts of things. There are very real issues here. There are very real issues. There's very real harm that has been caused. So we'll watch this. We'll watch this later after GeoGuessr is over. No IRL today? No, we'll do IRL later as well. Can you teach my boyfriend how to be hot? No. Look at me. I can't. The last time I tried being hot, this is the result. Do you not see that? Do you not see my prominent eyebrows that look like they were painted on my face? That is a direct consequence of me going to beautify myself. So I feel like it was an unsuccessful attempt, especially when you look at how insanely tight this beard shape up is. Okay. I look positively British with the sharpest eyebrow. I look like a fucking anime character, I think. Yeah. Your eyebrows look good. I think it's just shocking when it's on your face. It's just not what it normally looks like. I look like a British footballer. You then proceeded to actually make yourself more hot in the next morning, to be fair. Yeah, it's because I shaved my beard because I felt like it was looking weird. All right, let's get to Charlie Kirk. Yeah, fucking hell. Let's hear what he had to say in it about the fucking tariffs, yeah.
President using tariffs in the way he has to encourage manufacturing to come back to this country has been long overdue. We used to fund the entire federal government with tariffs. We used to fund all of our goods and services that we had through tariffs. In fact, I love the president's idea of the External Revenue Service.
I love this concept because they're talking about a time when global trade was like negligible. You know what I mean? Like anything pre complete global trade. Okay. Yeah, dude. It was, yeah, when things were being shipped without the invention of planes. Okay. No, they're not living in the 1950s. No, he's talking about the 1850s, chatter. It's even worse. No, he's talking about the age of like piracy and not digital piracy. I'm talking ARG type pirates. Okay. Like they designed this intricate, complex web of global trade that they rely on. And now they're like, oh, but remember when we used to make people walk the plank, matey. Arg, things were much better back then, you see. Probably earlier than 1850s, there was giga trade by then. No, there was giga trade in the 1850s. It's just that kind of global trade is negligible in comparison to how it works right now. That's my point. Dude, there were no planes back then, okay? Well, obviously, a lot of trade is still done by ships. Even ship technology wasn't as advanced, okay? Cargo freight technology wasn't as advanced. It's not like there's no comparison you can make to trade in the early 19th century with modern day global networks, like the logistical the logistics that have improved, the supply chains that exist. It's just not, that's insane. Yeah, we also had free labor, fucking slavery. I mean, we still kind of have that. So in that case, yeah, 1850s tariffs would be substantially different than modern tariffs. Yeah, a modern container ship can carry 100 1850s cargo ships.
Instead of the Internal Revenue Service, let's start actually taxing the rest of the world. And we're able to do this as the world superpower, as the incumbent economic power, because everyone wants to do business here. It's one thing if you're Portugal. It's one thing if you're Spain. It's another thing we're the United States of America, because people want to come here. This will result in trillions of dollars of more investment and capital coming into our country.
So Charlie wants to get rid of the income tax, so they just pay the federal budget down with tariffs. I know why. It's because Charlie's making so much money. And you know what? I agree.
I like that they're laughing about it, but that's like low-key their design. It seems. It's twofold.